Greetings and welcome to STEM Inspired. Today's special guest is Silvia Faulstich. She is a flight test engineer for the Navy. Listen and be inspired. Good afternoon. I'm Colleen Tabor.
Hi, Colleen.
And you are?
I'm Silvia Faulstich.
And what do you do for a living, Silvia?
I'm actually a flight test engineer working for the U.S. Navy at Point Mugu, California.
And how long have you done that?
I've been working there now 34 years.
Sylvia, would you please describe for me a typical day at your job?
As a flight test engineer, I have to collaborate and work with other engineers, with pilots, with managers, with safety. So there's a lot of different organizations as a flight test engineer. We're basically the people that we put together test plans.
How big are the aircraft that you work with?
Well, they vary. I work with drones, which are unmanned, and I've worked with very small drones that weigh only 1 pound.
Oh, wow.
Down up to an F-18, so very large aircraft.
So who gets to control the drones when they're flying around?
Just like we have pilots, but they're sitting in a room, just like we're sitting here in this room. And there'll be like 4 different pilots controlling that one airplane. So sometimes people say, well, it's so much cheaper to fly a drone. Well, there's actually more pilots involved with flying a drone than an actual aircraft sometimes.
So what is your favorite day?
My favorite day? Oh, when everything is working out nicely. When everything is perfect and everybody's agreeable. And we've met all the requirements, and we did not have any failures, any unexpected issues, like anything else. It's a lot of planning. But a good day is when everybody's safe. That's a good day.
Excellent. What do you find most interesting about your job?
The different variety of work. So I can make my job as detailed as I want. I have that flexibility. If I'm really, really interested in the radar system of the aircraft, I can go and become an expert on it, and I have that flexibility.
And how has that changed over the years?
I think we're slowly starting to see more diversity and more women coming in, which is I'm really, really happy about because I've been very lonely for a long time. So it's nice to see other young women starting to get into the engineering profession.
Excellent. When you were a young girl, what did you dream of becoming?
Well, I got to do a tour at Procter & Gamble one time with my older sibling. And I remember seeing this female in the lab with a lab coat and a really attractive young woman. And I must have been about 12. And I just instantly thought, I want to be like her.
Would you tell me briefly how you decided on becoming a flight test engineer?
Well, originally, I was not a flight test engineer. So when I was growing up, I was interested in the sciences, but along the way, being the only girl out of 6 kids in a small border town, my parents didn't speak any English, and traditional Catholic parents, I was supposed to stay home and take care of Mom. It wasn't that they loved me any less, it was just that culturally, they had a hard time with me going off to school. Now, in my hometown, there wasn't any universities close by. So you had to make that decision. You were going to stay or you were going to leave. There was no driving back and forth. So I made the decision to leave. They were hoping that I was going to stay. But engineering was something, I wasn't thinking engineering. It was just something actually that I was going to study music. Because that was something that my parents and my friends and my teachers all encouraged me. And I was very good at music, and I was actually competing nationally in music. So I was geared to go and do music. The time came, and again, another older sibling asked me, what do you want to do with that degree? You know, and I said, well, I want to be the one playing the piano for the symphony. That's what my role, I want that role. And he said, how many people do you think want that job? And I had never thought about it in those terms. And he just suggested, he goes, why don't you go and get a degree that will allow you to follow your passions? You can do that on the side, but you can pay your school bills and your loans back. And I thought, okay. So I went and did some research. And at that time, engineering was a 4-year career, and chemical engineering was the one that paid the most. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go pick the one that pays the most, and that way I can buy my piano soon and continue on with my music. So I did that, and I applied to different universities, and USC was one of the ones that got back to me. And when I got that letter, I was so excited being accepted to USC, and I showed it to my parents. And my parents were not happy at all because they did not like the idea that I was going to leave home as a young lady traveling across the country by myself. That was just not something that they could understand and could accept. So my dad told my mom, if we don't give her any money, she's not going to go anywhere. I had raised $250. And when the time came, I had to go ask my neighbor to go and drive me to the Greyhound bus station, and that's how I left to USC. Of course, I cried all the way up to Arizona, and then after Arizona, I was so excited going off to school. And I got to LA, and I went straight to the registration gym, and that's what they were registering, and I got in line, and I got up to the main person, and they looked up my name on the computer, and they said, we don't have your name on here. And I was like scared to death for that instant because it just came out, and I told them, I said, I don't know what you're going to do, but I have my acceptance letter here in my back pocket of my blue jeans. You sent this to me. You said I was accepted. I was going to get some financial aid. And he was just surprised. He said, wait right here. And he just went and talked to other people. And he came back and he said, okay, we're going to put you in the Latino floors at USC, and here's your meal card. And I was just so relieved. So relieved. I thought, okay, we're going to do this. I was happy. Again, not knowing how financial aid worked, I thought the money was waiting for me there at an office. And that's not the way it works. It slowly comes in at different times. So I did not have money to buy my books, and that was a big issue. And I brought that to their attention, and they said, well, go talk to the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. It's an organization here on campus. They might be able to help you. And sure enough, I went and talked to them, and they just wrote out a check for $500 right there and then. And if it hadn't been for that check, I wouldn't be here today.
Wow.
It was just something extremely helpful. So I always tell students, always join organizations. They're there to help you. Mm-hmm. They're everywhere. There's lots of nice, good organizations in the university to help students so that they don't fall through those cracks.
Any doubts or regrets that you took that path?
Absolutely not. No, I'm glad I took that path.
What are your most vivid childhood memories of school?
Our chemistry teacher always started our session with an experiment. Every time we walked into his classroom, there was an experiment, and we were all like, oh, wow. And then he would proceed to explain to us the lesson. And it was just really, really interesting. So it just made those classes fun, where part of it was the instructors, that they were so good.
What do you wish you had known before starting your profession?
How hard it was going to be. But maybe if I had known that, that would have scared me away. So maybe that was a good thing I did not know. Because it was a very difficult. While other majors where there's more females in, it seemed like they had more time to go and do fun stuff. And I just was stuck in the library literally for those 4 or 5 years that I was in there. So no, I don't know. I don't think that would have been a good idea to know that up front.
Before you go on, do you regret those hours that you gave up to spend in the library?
No, no, because then for the next 30 years of my career, I've enjoyed the freedom that I have in having a job where I can be creative, where I can choose different things.
Have you personally experienced barriers, either real or perceived, in pursuing your STEM career?
I have. And like I mentioned, the counselor, when I told her I was going to USC, she says, honey, why you don't want to leave home, honey? Your parents are going to miss you. And again, there was no malintent there, but culturally at that time, it was very difficult for young ladies to leave home. So that was a barrier, and I'm glad I crossed over that. No regrets.
How important has mentorship been in your school career as well as your professional career?
Well, that's another area where I wish I had had more mentorship. Now I'm out and I try to make myself available to students because that's something extremely important.
Yes.
As women, we tend to sometimes feel like we can do it all by ourselves. There's a certain pride that we take on. We see it as a weakness, asking for help, but we should look for mentors.